Okay, good afternoon everyone and welcome to the finissage of Pietà and Millefleurs by Rini Hurkmans. My name is Sarah from Binsbergen, I'm a journalist and I will be talking to Rini about some of the inspiration and themes in the exhibition. The exhibition features multiple works, some small sculptures you will be seeing around, there's a video, but the main part is this textile installation and the sculpture we're sitting next to, which is your interpretation of a sculpture by Michelangelo, Pietà. And that's actually where I wanted to start this conversation, because the Pietà plays a very important role in your work, already for more than 30 years, I think. Yes. And you told me last time we spoke that this Pietà came into your work when you were in New York, and you saw a press image of
just after the Pietà was attacked. Yes,
exactly. Yeah, the moment that this man vandalized the hand of the Pietà. And can you describe this image to me and what it did for you?
Oh yeah. I think that the whole thing started a little bit earlier, before I found this press photo. It was that I was in my studio and I moved to New York for a year. I had a residence from the Peace One residency. And I was really in a breaking point for my work, and I needed to change my work. And I didn't know how. I had a feeling being confronted with this big city that I had to be much more outspoken in my work. So on a certain moment I sat down on a pedestal, took a sculpture from the ground.
Because up to that point you had been making these kind of cocoon
shapes. Was a kind of cocoon shape I made at that moment. And I put it on my lap, and I made a picture, or someone made a picture of me. And maybe it was Hans, I don't know. But it was a picture of me. And that was a moment, a frozen moment of the moment that you want to give your piece away to the public. So you're sitting on a pedestal, you hold it, you made it yourself, and it's always a moment that you give it to public. And then it's not yours anymore. Then it has to do it on its own. And this moment I wanted to freeze. And then I came, I say a week, 2 weeks later, I came on this photo fair where you could buy different photographs. And I came across this picture of just after the moment that Michelangelo Pietà was attacked. And on the other way, it intrigued me enormously. I couldn't say exactly at that moment what it was, but later, during the years, now I know a lot about it. But you see the Pietà with the deceased son on the lap. You see a broken arm, you see a broken eye and a broken ear. And you see that the man who was hammering on the Pietà was overpowered by 7 people. And he was laying almost like also a victim. So there was a kind of contradiction in this picture, but it attracted to me. But also the loss and the loss of a lot. And that is what this picture, when I came back in my studio, I thought, oh, I need to give this photo a title, and I call it Pietà. And there it came into my work for the first time, that I called it Pietà. And since then, I'm making different works, lot of works, some very direct Pietàs with self-portraits, but also sometimes the photo I was very aware in making a new work, but sometimes I was not conscious about it. Looking back, I see that this theme where this photo is dealing with, like absence and loss and also politics and ethical questions, is all the time in my work since then. And I was conscious about that. So,
and you told me last time that one of the things that really interested you about this image was the hand that was missing, which is a hand that invites, it's a hand that engages the public in a way.
Yeah.
Can you say something about that?
Yeah, because the Pietà, most of the Pietas are sculptures where the mother are sitting with the deceased son, murdered by another person. That's also important, not about illness, but murdered. And most of the time it's a very internal sculpture. Yeah, you see that also in other Pietas, it's the sorrow and the pain of the mother with the son who's not alive anymore. But this Pietà had a hand, because she don't look to the public, she had a hand, and the hand reaches out. And with this reaching, she's maybe asking for adoration or whatever, but she invites you to engage with the theme of this work, and that means the loss, the absence, the sorrow, and all these things. So in one or the other way, she's asking, look here, is this the way we are dealing with each other? So
she raises an
and this
ethical
arm,
question in a way.
Yeah, and this arm was broken.
Yeah.
So the connection was gone.
Yeah.
And that's like, that triggered me enormously.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And then we fast forward to today and to
Yeah.
this sculpture, which is a reinterpretation of another Pietà by Michelangelo, made out of clay, a much smaller
this
sculpture.
is the Pietà of terracotta. It's made of terracotta in combination with marble power, also Carrara marble power. And he was not so good at that moment in making this. He's not really a ceramist. With ceramic, you build it, and with stone, you take it out. So it was another way of thinking. And he made this Pietà de terracotta, that's the way it's called now. He made that like 2 years before he got the assignment to make the Pietà, the Michelangelo in the Basilica. And they found this Pietà no one knew about this Pietà, and this Pietà is found in 1998, and someone recognized it and thought this must be of Michelangelo. And that was covered with paint, so they took all the paint off and they restored it. And also the arm was missing.
Yes.
And there was a wooden prothèse on the place from the arm, of the arm. And that was also, let me see, was interesting. So they cleaned it and they brought it in 2014 to Paris in a show, so that they wanted to animate a bigger research to find out if the sculpture really belonged to Michelangelo. And then they worked like 4 years on a booklet where the whole research is in. And that came out in 2018. And I was in 2019 in Rome when I was researching this picture, this press photo, together with the Pietà and then all the things what was dealing with it. And I came across this book.
Yeah.
And in early days I did a lot with terracotta. So in one or the other way, it intrigued me enormously, and it was also, it was not so natural yet, It's like when I tried to remake it in this one, but you see that the two foot are really not on the right place, So you see, and that is also in this Pietà of this one of the Michelangelo. So it is not so big like this. Of the Michelangelo, it's like, say 28 centimeters by 50, this is a bigger one. But first I made smaller ones, and I tried a bit terracotta, that was in the show before here, and there I tried to express different gestures with a wooden prothèse. Some gestures were attacking, others were defending, others were teasing, all different gestures. And so, okay.
Yeah, and so she's holding a spear, which is, it could be a very aggressive gesture, but somehow it's also protective. But it's very different from the hand that's stretched out. It's more, how would you describe it?
Yeah, for me it's more like stay out of here, It's more protecting the happening. And that has to do a lot with what happens here.
Yeah.
So, because there's not only this Pietà of the whole Pietà of the Michelangelo and this terracotta Pietà, but it's also in combination with the Millefleurs style from the medieval time.
Yeah, that's your other
That's the
source
other,
of inspiration for this work.
Yeah, that is the Lady and the Unicorn. Maybe people know this work. It's 6 tapestries are hanging in the Musée de Cluny. And
can you describe them for whoever doesn't know them?
Yeah. So it's made in the same time as the Pietà for the Basilic. It's like 1500. The Pietà and the Basilic is 1499, and the tapestries are made in 1500 something. So it's the same time. It's really interesting also to see that the Michelangelo piece is really early Renaissance, and this tapestry is late medieval. Medieval. And that is designed in Paris, and it is weaved in Flanders. So maybe Ghent or Brussels. I think in Brussels. And it's made. These tapestries are made with the Millefleurs style, and you see a lot of Millefleurs style in that time. And it's all with symbolic.
It's all flowers and plants.
That's the background. It's complete full with flowers. And it's sometimes so hard to say where to start with it. Because that's the background. I was really also interested very much in the background. And I wanted to make them more to the front. I wanted to bring them to the front. And the reason for that is maybe, but let me tell first a little bit more about these 6 tapestries. 5 of them are showing our senses. You have the hearing and the tasting, the smelling, the seeing, and the touching. And that are 5 senses. And the 6th is is more the sense of the heart. It's more the spirituality and maybe the human feeling. And the 5 sentences, you can read them out of the tapestries by the actions you see and the gestures you see.
Because you see a
lady with an animal, the unicorn,
and a lion, right?
And they have a kind of relation in that in the tapestries, and by objects of our world. It shows what kind of sense it's talking about. And in the other, you see only the spirituality. These things are not there. And it's maybe, that's how they interpret it by research, it is that there is a call or a need or a wish to get a more spiritual life, less materialistic. So that's the 6th.
And less focused on these tangible things.
On the materia, because that is the relation we have with our mirrors and chairs and books. That's what you see in these tapestries. But that is more in itself, more the human feeling. They call it the sense of the heart. So all this less materialistic and more spiritual, that's also something that is also an ethical question. Can we, for me, can we maybe have...
What do you value in a way?
Yes, that's very good, So that was this part with this background, with all these flowers and this Pietà, that in one or the other way it came together, not knowing exactly in the beginning what, and maybe still not knowing exactly, because it's the beginning of a new chapter in my work and in my thinking. So I started to think about how can I give these flowers, but it's still about nature. How in this medieval, I always want to say Middle Ages, but it's medieval, they lived much more with nature. These weavers had their own gardens, and in the gardens they had their own flowers, and so they could make better drawings about the flowers. And you have the designer of this piece lived in Paris, and they made the motifs of the design, but the weavers are making the backgrounds. They make the designs of the flowers. So It's interesting how close they were. It was like you have the feeling that they were much more conscious about the value of living with nature, more close with nature. And now in this time we are living with the loss of nature. We are aware of it, but it's still lost. There's a big political one, and it's still big questions and big talks about how can we make it better. We have the bees who are changing, going away. Our insects are going away. Bees and insects we need them to reproduce our plants and fruits and everything. So something started to work with me, thinking about the bees, the wax, the beeswax, and about these flowers.
Yes, because this is
made of beeswax.
Yeah, exactly.
Natural beeswax, that's also important. So, and I made all these holes in it because I was thinking about how bees are making their homes with little holes, and then they put something in it, and then they close it in it, close it. So there's a kind, beeswax is also very doing something with our health. It builds the houses for the animals. You know,
there's
a lot of that's also
associations.
Yeah. So there's a lot of symbolic things in it. So and then I started with these flowers, and these are all white, blooming spring flowers.
And why?
That's also. I made in 2008 a big textile work with only the names of white flowers on red cloth. I called it the White Garden. So it was somewhere in my vocabulary already to go for the white flowers. And also I found a little booklet. It's like a Laparello, and that booklet is made in 1938. It's old, and there was the first florist of Noordwijk who studied the flowers in the dunes of Noordwijk, and he was a schoolmaster, and he made this booklet with all the flowers he found there to make a book for the students. He made a lot of mistakes in it, but the book is wonderful. And he had a chapter also with white flowering spring flowers. So I thought,
so all the white flowering spring flowers that were found in the Netherlands.
It was, yes, but later they did a research. He said, oh, but this is coming from the Alpine and this is coming from Germany. So he was really not
that accurate.
Not so accurate in that time, but he was the first one who started making this. And so I took the white flowers out of the book, and I started, each flower was for me an inspiration to make one of these carpets. Only they are not so natural. I made them more. You want to ask something?
No, you finish your sentence first.
I thought I have to make them more abstract. So that it becomes more a part of our imagination. It's not like, so it's not about learning something, but that they get their own power in it. So, like when you look in the clouds, you see figures and you think, oh, that looks like a frog, or that looks like, So that's what I wanted to achieve with these abstract making.
And you told me that it was very important to you that because they each have a different color combination, but also the techniques you use in every one, the combination of all those things is unique for every flower. And that was very important to you to express this individuality.
Yes.
Why?
I think it's I think it's important to have all these individuals. So when I started with this, I first wanted to make a very big carpet, but I thought, no, I have to cut them. They have to be all single. It's not always immediately a reason like this, But and what also was, I wanted to make them all blue, because when you look to these carpets from the Millefleurs style, they were colored by yellow and blue, so they were green. You call it also Verdure, they call it like that. But I think I couldn't find it in my research, but the yellow went away. So these became blue, because green is yellow and blue together.
Yeah.
And you see all the red background. So I thought, what I want is the red background, and I want to have the blue flowers, the plants, and the white flowers. And that was the kind where I started with. And I made the work together with the textile lab in Tilburg. And we really did all the research of these difference. You know, there's that's an endless puzzle that maybe 2 or 3 has the same background, but the others not. So that they all became different, and that they also got this materiality. You know, in one or the other way, I also was busy with these senses, so that you really want to touch them, that they are there. You know, that the colors are there, so that also it speaks to the senses of us.
Yeah. Now, what I was kind of aiming at is that in these Millefleurs tapestries, it's also many different flowers. So it's really this abundance of different sorts.
Yes. And they also have little animals in it, and it's really gorgeous to see. Yeah.
And you also said that. I mean, it's a work about loss in a way. It's the loss of diversity, the loss of nature. But you also wanted it to be very colorful and festive. Can you say something about that?
Yeah, we talked a little bit about when color came into my work, and that was maybe in 2000 somewhere, because before my work was gray and black, and but then I got this assignment, or I was asked to think about this. That was the first time, to this monument in Argentina. And then I thought, but what do you do for comfort people? Color can do a lot to comfort people. When something happening is with loss or someone died, then you bring flowers to make life a little bit more colorful, something like that. And that was the first time that I realized I need to start use colors. And there I used a lot of colorful clothing, you know. And you see that comes back in my work, these colors. Color is not only what you see, but you also feel. It's a very important, can be very important comfort. So that is what, as a kind of maybe contradiction or tegenhanger, how do you say that? As a contrast to use. Yes.
Between mourning and comfort in a way. I'm just gonna check the time for Google. We spoke earlier this summer because you also recently did a big public sculpture for Pietà de Vries, a Dutch crime journalist who got murdered, and you were commissioned to make remembrance monument for him. And you mentioned that you see a strong connection between this work and that sculpture that you made. Can you elaborate on that?
Yeah, with this sculpture, also the gesture is very important, and I'm researching this gesture in all the work, like here again. This is a gesture who is not, in first instance, reaching out, but make a gesture, the one who's maybe reaching out is also comforting the other.
Yeah, because it's two hands that are, one is kind of supporting the other hand.
Yeah. And it's also a kind, with that, it's of course a complete other situation, because that is a work in public space, and work in public space need to be readable for the people who use all the public space. So you need to be in one way very direct and very precise, of that everyone can immediately see what it's about. And on the other hand, this text on it made it very close to him, but also it's a call for ethical issue. It's also the call of not even from how are we dealing with each other, but also maybe this is a proposal for future to how we can deal with each other. Mm-hmm. So in that way, it belongs very much to my other work.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Yeah.
And you, to go back to this work, you use, in both cases, you use a historical reference in both these works to talk about the current moment and ask ethical questions about the current moment. Why do you think that's an interesting or fruitful way for you to go back to these historical sources? Do you have an idea of that?
Yeah, I think history made us. It's so easy. History is a part of us. You know, how we think and do comes from history. There are so many people once were there who thought about this issue too, and give that form or give that text or give that whatever, you know. And it came in our thinking and in our system. So I think you can maybe look better to the future, something like that, knowing that you are just a chain in it, you know. Yeah. So it's all chained. And it's also interesting, for example, in this, it's interesting to see what in the same time period, the end of the medieval is doing, still thinking about a lot, saying religion is central and the myth is central and God is central, and then you, in the same time, you have in Italy, the Renaissance is coming, and humanists, the human becomes central, to see how these things change in a kind of wave all the time. And but we are dealing maybe with the same questions, and every time need another interpretation or another form. And I'm just one of the change, you know? That's why I think it's nice sometimes to relate it to what's there. Yeah. You are not alone.
No.
You are unique.
There's a whole chain of...
but you are not alone. Yeah.
Yeah. Do you think you will continue to come back to the Pietà?
Yeah, I don't know how I will come back to the Pietà. I can say I have another Pietà in my studio, but okay, I don't know what comes out of that. But it's more the theme what's in the Pietà than the Pietà. This is so I'm not a sculptor as such to make a great Pietà. No. It's more the concept behind it where I'm dealing with.
It's the recurring themes of ethics and laws.
Yeah. But with this, the Millefleurs and this Pietà, I'm not ready yet. I know, you know. So that will still have a future. It's like still tickling to me, like, you know, so.
That's there's something new coming out of this work. Yes.
Okay.
Thank you. We could continue to talk, but I think it's maybe nice to see if there's any questions from the audience.
No, I was wondering, maybe it's a misreading from my side, but the abstraction you give the flowers turns some of them like into schematic drawings of human organs. Like that seems to be a heart, and there's a pair of lungs there. Is that an accidental effect? Did you see that yourself, or?
Yes, sometimes some things I see, but maybe you don't see. You know, and the other way around. So there are some things, it's like your own reference made them. That's the same as you see with the clouds. So I try to open them. It's not a teaching thing, but by I still put all the Latin names so that it is still in the framework, you know, so that they are framed but still trying to open up for your imagination. Yeah.
Anyone else?
Okay.
Then we'll wrap it up.
Sarah, thank you so much for your questions. You're challenging me. That is important for the future. Thank you so much. Yes. Okay. Okay. So we like to share a glass of wine with you all. Yeah, that would be nice. I would put this